What's up guys, Nukin here, and I'm back with another Galaxy Heroes episode, and we're going to be doing a roster review. This is the series where I answer questions that are specifically tailored towards my patrons' rosters. If you don't want to pay attention to this video, go ahead and skip it. There will be another few videos later on in the week that I'm sure will interest you more, but I have some cool topics that we're going to be discussing that you guys may want to actually know about. So we're going to be answering some questions that Jaali has, and he has a few questions about Fleet Arena, soloing the tank raid, and also finding the strongest Traya arena team for himself. So we're going to be covering some of those topics. Hopefully they are helpful to you, Jaali, and they're also helpful to everyone else that cares to listen for that. If you're not interested, go ahead and just skip this video, and there will be another few videos later on the week that will probably interest you more. Let's get right into this roster review, starting off with some Sith Arena Darth Traya teams. So we're going to get started with this roster review talking about Darth Traya in Arena. So Jaali recently unlocked Darth Traya, and he's looking for the strongest Sith Arena team for himself. And so in my personal opinion, the best Arena team is going to be a team that you can not only win on offense, but also hold well on defense. And from my findings and my experience, I find that the Darth Traya Arena-led Sith teams actually hold better on defense. So I'm definitely going to recommend Darth Traya in the leadership position. When it's time to choose who should be on your 5th character position, whether it be Grand Admiral Thrawn or another Sith character or a plug-and-play character, I'm liking Grand Admiral Thrawn right now. The capability of using Fracture and Isolate on one team is very strong. You're incapacitating 2 out of the 5 heroes. Sith Assassin is also very good. She's very quick, and then she can give turn meter to the rest of the team, which allows Darth Sion to get to Held by Hatred quicker and Darth Nihilus to get to Annihilate quicker. If you're going to use a plug-and-play character, I would take out Sith Assassin and put a character like Impus Ness. On a Darth Traya team, the combination of the offense reduction and the critical avoidance and the healing capabilities of this team and the double taunt is going to buy enough time basically for a character like Impus Ness to ramp up her damage and be able to become a PvP monster. Other people are actually not only using Nest on their Darth Traya teams, but they're also using Wampa and taking out the Sith Trooper. I personally think that that's a little bit on the redundant side, because first of all, Nest and Wampa are very similar to one another. Daze doesn't stack, for example, and Nest basically does everything that Wampa does, just a little bit on the better side for Arena. And so I don't recommend doing this. You lose out on the auto taunter Sith Trooper, and the taunting bouncing around between Darth Sion and Sith Trooper is part of the reason why you actually hold so well on defense. It's hard to basically hit the priority targets like Darth Nihilus and Darth Traya when there's always a taunting character out on the field. So now that we talked about some team compositions, let's move into some mod discussion, starting off with our leader Darth Traya. So Darth Traya is going to be running a speed set. That's my recommendation for her. She's not going to get as much benefit from an offense set being at 5 stars. When you star up a character, they get more damage, and on top of that, they get access to better gear slots. By the time we have a 7-star Traya, we probably will also have the future gear 12 pieces, so maybe then an offense mod set, but definitely for now a speed set. For Grand Admiral Thrawn, I recommend running a speed set on Thrawn. That is going to be allowing him to go very quick and hopefully, one of the first few characters and get off a Fracture right away, which is going to be excellent to allowing you to either Fracture a character that is a big threat or getting rid of a auto taunter. Next up, we have Darth Nihilus, and you also want to run a speed set on Darth Nihilus. You want him to take a lot of turns and get to his Annihilate quicker. He is not a damage dealer per se. He's kind of like an MVP carry because he does kill heroes, but his Annihilate is going to be taking out heroes not based off of his damage. It's just going to do massive damage of 100k. Moving on from Darth Nihilus to the Sith Trooper. Sith Trooper doesn't actually need to be very fast. You can actually make him slower. You don't even need to run a speed arrow. You can run a critical avoidance or a protection arrow or a health primary arrow on Sith Trooper. You don't need him to go very fast, and I recommend running at least 2 health mods, maybe even up to 6 health mods. Defense mods are okay as well. For Darth Scion, you're going to want to run either a speed set or a offense primary set, and I believe the offense sets are probably going to be best on Darth Scion. That's going to allow him to actually hit for upwards of over 50k damage when he reaches the Held by Hatred, sort of his Super Saiyan God mode status. If you're going to be on the lazy side and you don't want to mod swap for the Sith raid, you can go ahead and run 6 potency mods on Darth Scion. Just go ahead and make the primaries more on the offensive side, like a critical damage or offense primary triangle. So now we're going to switch gears and talk about ships. This is going to be the ship portion of this roster review, and what you guys are looking at right now, this is Jaali Pants' current ship roster situation. So these are all the ships and the pilots that he's grinded for thus far. And just like, you know, Jaali and just like many other people, you guys were using the Thrawn Chimera fleets. That's also decent in ships 2.0, and you guys were using a bunch of the Empire ships, especially the TIE Reaper in ships 1.0. And basically what Jaali wants to know here is how he can improve his Fleet Arena fleet without drastically changing kind of what he kind of worked towards in the ships 1.0 format. So we want to definitely use a bunch of Empire ships, and in my opinion, Tarkin is the best fleet commander, and Empire ships are actually very strong, even stronger under the Tarkin fleet commander lead. Tarkin is basically going to be the meta, I believe, eventually in the future. This is a very strong team. Now you have a gear 11 Tarkin, and so if you want to take him up to gear 12, that would be great. Just kind of pay attention to the other Tarkins in your fleet. It's all dependent on how much gear and Zetas they have. So you definitely want to at least go up to what your opponents have and maybe one step above, so your executrix can go first. So now let's quickly talk about the fleet. So the starting rotation is going to be the Imperial TIE Fighter, Biggs, and Sunfac. So you have 2 tanks. Sunfac is a great tank, probably the best tank in the game right now. Biggs is also very good, and you have the Imperial TIE Fighter to activate the taunt for Biggs, and he goes very quick, so you can get the taunt up right away. You want to use TIE Advance and TIE Reaper in the first 2 reinforcement positions, and then in the last 2 slots, you want to use a ship that's not going to be called before the TIE Advance or the TIE Reaper on defense. So you want to run, basically you want to run an attacker like Poe and TIE Silencer, ships like that that won't be called in before the TIE Reaper and the TIE Advance. That also means no Slave 1 for you, Jaali, at least not on defense. So now we're going to move into the priority order for upgrading your ship. You definitely want to start off with the crew power for Tarkin. That is the victory at all costs. That is part of the reason why this ship is much better now. So start off with that. This ability is great because it allows your ships to gain 20% turn meter whenever any ship is destroyed. So it's going to gain, you're going to gain a lot of momentum. After that, you're probably going to want to upgrade the heavy ion cannon, followed by executive order, followed by the Imperial Assault Special, and the basic ability last. So now we're going to move into the reinforcement ability priority upgrade order, and I believe you should take TIE Advance to level 3 first. At level 3, he puts the offense down debuff on all enemies. That's great because it synergizes well with victory at all costs. Also, it heavily reduces their damage output, and especially since you're not using the Chimera anymore, you don't have the access to a capital ship putting down this debuff anymore, and so the TIE Advance can help you to do that. And then the second reinforcement is going to be TIE Reaper. At level 2, you have the capability of TIE Reaper putting the defense down debuff on all the enemies, and that's great. And since most battles actually don't go to the 3rd reinforcement, you should probably take this all the way up to level 3 before you do any other reinforcement ability upgrades. After you maxed out TIE Advance and TIE Reaper, then you can go ahead and max out whoever is going to be in your 3rd reinforcement slot and your 4th reinforcement slot. And finally, we're going to start off with the last topic of this roster review, and that's going to be soloing the tank tank raid. So Jaali Pants wants a team where he can use in the tank raid to solo the whole thing, and he wants it to be the best team. And so he brought up the Wampinator. Wampinator works, but getting through phase 1 is a nightmare. This team can get through phase 1 much easier. It's a little bit harder to get through phase 2, but it can also solo phase 3 and phase 4. So in my opinion, this team is the best one to run. Since you have a 7-star Hermit Yoda and Wampa, this is definitely a team that you can run right away. Since we're running short on time, Jaali, just hit me up after finishing watching this roster review and I'll give you more details on how to be successful with this team. So that wraps up this roster review, everyone. Hopefully, Jaali, this was helpful to you, and hopefully everyone else out there found it to be informative and enjoyable. I'll see you all in my next video. Cheers.
The Force will be with you always.